thank you for being up early and being here for this patch ceremony, which may seem unusual to you, but I'll explain it. The graduates wear an MBA patch, and that started about 15 plus years ago. And we didn't see them using or wearing those patches prior to graduation, and we thought perhaps we should recognize the patch and a certain mark in their time, which we've done, let's say, with the 7th grade when we meet with them early in the year, certainly with the juniors when we meet with them in December, with the sophomores when we'll meet with them in a few weeks to talk about service. So we've tried to be intentional about talking to the students about various moments in their own maturity. This is not unlike two of the types of programs that I enjoy going to, because they're some of the few examples of rites of passage, and those would be bar mitzvahs and Eagle Scout awards, where there's an intentionality about talking to the individual about who he or she is, a bas mitzvah, and what their growth is and what the expectations are. And so this morning we're trying to make a statement to the 9th grade about who they are, where they are on their journey, and our hope that they'll be thoughtful about what they need to do as they develop. And so that's the sort of backdrop for the patch ceremony. This is a relatively short and sweet ceremony. I mentioned the ring ceremony. A couple of you had come down to ask if you should come down and hand the patch, but because we don't call their names out individually, you can just come down at the end of the ceremony, be together as a family, and we have plenty of photographers around for photos. I'll have the privilege of introducing two people. First, Alex on my left here, who is a terrific senior. I sat with him this past week for lunch, and he opened up an interesting conversation. He asked me about Robert Penn Warren's All the King's Men and why that was on the reading list. And I'm not teaching a senior class this year, which I've always done. I'm actually sitting in on all sorts of classes in team teaching. I started with 7th grade grammar, and now I'm in 7th grade literature. But it was a great moment for me to talk with him about that novel. And he also amused me because I'd brought in a donut to the seniors, because this was the day that Artemis was going to launch. And some of you may remember it or heard on the radio that Krispy Kreme had a special Artemis donut. So I brought it to this senior lunch. And when I brought it and put it down, Alex said, "Put that away from me." I said, "Why? What's the problem?" He said, "My dad's one of the owners of Dunkin' Donuts. I don't go near Krispy Kreme." So it was just a fun time to be with him. I'm sure he'll have some good comments. Join me in welcoming Alex.
I would like to thank Mr. Sawyer for inviting me to speak, and also Mr. Joy for allowing me to be here this morning. So boys, welcome to the high school. I am extremely excited to have the opportunity to speak with all of you today. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Alex Yerkowski. I'm a current senior at MBA. I honestly remember my patch ceremony very well. Everybody was huddled up closely in the chairs. The breakfast is impossible to eat without spilling anything on your coat. It is really early in the morning, but there is a slight sense of excitement in the air. Arriving at MBA in the junior school, although there were definitely substantial changes from my time in elementary school, much had remained constant. I was hanging around with the same group of friends, had the same dreams for what my high school years would look like. Let's just say that nothing turned out as planned. So today, as your introduction into the unknown that is high school, I want to offer two main messages for your time here. Be open and be grateful. First off, be open. There are so many different kids at MBA. In junior school, it is easy to stick to your group and to not branch out at all. In high school, it isn't really possible to stay with one group of people the entire time. And that is an amazing thing. One of my proudest achievements coming out of high school is the variety of different friends I have made. Whether it be someone who is interested in theater, band, or football, I have made it my mission to get to know as many people as humanly possible. I've learned things and had experiences with those people that I never could have imagined having before high school. These friendships with all different kinds of people have enriched my experience at MBA. The other thing I would encourage in the Be Open department is to try everything. If you never try something, you don't know if you will like it or not. Do debate for a change, try out for the play, write for the newspaper, join mock trial. The amount of opportunities MBA has for every person and their super specific interests are unfathomable. In the summer going into 11th grade, for example, I went to Vermont for 3 weeks to write, direct, and edit my own movies. And my movies were terrible, but I am so happy that I went on that trip because movies are something I've been obsessed with ever since I was little. I would also encourage you not to get down when things don't go according to plan. My vision of high school for the longest time was being a key player on the varsity basketball team. Well, I never made it past the JV level, but I'm so grateful for that. Now my main sports are cross country and baseball, and I even tried to play in the winter last year. Although they are different than what I expected, I got more out of these experiences than I ever did out of a season of basketball. The last thing I want to talk about is gratefulness. And I don't only mean gratefulness in the sense of saying thank you to everyone who gave you the opportunity to come to this school, even though I do encourage you to do that. No, what I mean is enjoy every last second of this experience. High school at MBA has been the best years of my life, and every year is better than the last. MBA is an institution, practically synonymous with the city of Nashville. How many people can say that about their high school? It is awesome. Go to football games and band concerts and plays featuring your classmates. Be a part of the heart of the school, because the heart at the center of this place is the students, the amazing teachers and faculty, the people. On a personal note, I know this class very well because of my brother and his friends. You guys are an awesome class. Seriously, I know you guys are going to do amazing things. Just what I recommend is be a good friend to everyone. Support each other, try something new, and do things that are uniquely you. And most importantly, have the best time you can at the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Just like the other day at lunch, there's an authenticity about you that I really appreciate. You are yourself, and you speak with that kind of naturalness, so thanks. Our next speaker is faculty member Rob Doherty, whom I met about 12 years ago, originally from Arkansas. He'd gone to the University of Texas. He and his wife had moved to Nashville, and he has done a terrific job at MBA. Perhaps most significantly, there is an empathy and kindness and care about him, so much so that last spring, we gave the first award to an advisor who's had a significant impact on his advisees. Rob was the recipient, and I think it speaks volumes about who he is and what kind of individual he is. He was telling me right before the program that his son is in this class. I knew that, but his son did not know he was speaking, and he was a little bit anxious about that. And I said, oh, he'll be proud of you, maybe not initially, but later. And so you'll do a great job. It kind of reminded me before I came over here this morning, I had to drop something at my office, and I saw this other great teacher, Travis Barclay, and he was telling me that a number of years ago, he was reminding his advisees that the patch ceremony was this week. He said, you gotta wear your coat and tie. And they looked at him and said, oh, we got to go to this meeting early on Friday morning. We have to wear a coat and tie, and then we got to hear some dumb remarks from a teacher. Little did they know Travis was the speaker. And he didn't tell them until he got up, and then he said he had a fun time talking to them about it. Well, Rob, you will do a great job. Join me in welcoming Rob Doherty.
Good morning, everyone. Like Mr. Joya said, I'm Rob Doherty. I'm in my 12th year of teaching German here at MBA. And it's really a great honor to be here with you this morning, and I'm very excited about getting to address you. I do want to thank you, Mr. Joya and Mr. Sawyer, for inviting me here to speak, and I thank you, parents, for being here as well this morning to celebrate and support these young men. And especially, I thank you, freshmen of the class of 2026, for being awesome, but also for giving me the chance to speak to you directly. So, as I was saying, this is especially meaningful for me, not just because I'm here as a teacher, but also because I'm here as a parent. I'm excited about receiving the same rapt attention from him that he normally pays me in the car. Just don't put your AirPods in yet. This is really an amazing class. And I say that I'm fully aware of my personal bias, but I actually do have some thoughts and reasons to make that assertion. When you guys started here in the 7th grade, and those of you who came from other middle schools, your experience was entirely similar. You started at a time of cohorts, hybrid learning, Google Meets, and for about half of you, your first day at MBA, you actually spent at home. And getting used to a place like MBA with all of its customs and traditions is hard under normal circumstances. But you gentlemen showed us that you're up to the challenge of doing hard things. And now you're in high school. So let's be honest, high school is something almost everyone goes through, so it's not really a big deal. But on the other hand, it kind of is. It's one of the most profound experiences that you'll end up talking about and thinking about for the rest of your lives. Case in point, so all of the parents up here, right now, they're probably thinking about when they started high school, who their friends were, who their favorite teachers were, a handful of embarrassing moments they wish they could forget, some painful lessons that they learned, but many wonderful, life-changing experiences that made them who they are today. And also probably simultaneously thinking about how much they would never want to go back and do that over again, but how much they would like to do it over again if they could do it knowing what they know now. So speaking of what I know now, I want to lay a couple things on you. And I'm going to go ahead and spoil the ending on this one. You're going to do great. Every person in this room, the entire faculty and staff, all of the people who've gone before you, they're rooting for you. We all believe in you, and we're excited about your bright futures. So rather than just give you like a list of tips, I'm going to take a step back and focus more on the philosophical level and look at the big picture. I like to, at the start of a new thing, get the 30,000 feet view, and because that's a great place to start when you're starting something new, like, say, high school. And this is what I see. You're starting a new journey, and it's one that's filled with opportunities and chances to figure out who you are and who you want to be. Don't rush to the end. Take your time and embrace this time of self-discovery. The trick to that is to keep as many options open for as long as you can. It's not bad if you have a general idea of where you want to go, although I don't think you need to just yet. Right now, though, is about giving yourself the chance to try out other things that you haven't yet considered. Good job, Alex, doing this. Well done. You never know. The last thing you want to do is say, oh, I'll never be interested in this, so it's not important, or I'm not even going to try it. So just do as well as you can at everything so that all those doors and all those possibilities stay open for you. You don't need to make down decisions to go down one path to the exclusion of others. And so I'm talking about specialization. I imagine more than a few of you are athletes who've already begun to specialize in just one sport, for example, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're very passionate about that and you want to become better at it. But I do want you to stay open to trying new things too. So gather a new experience. Say yes to new good things. Say yes to new opportunities. Don't be afraid to try something that you're not 100% comfortable with just yet. People talk about how hard it is to say no to things, but really I think it's just as hard, if not harder, to say yes. And think about this too. In society, we used to celebrate generalists a lot more than we do now. What do I mean? A generalist is someone who has knowledge about a wide range of subjects and multiple talents. They may not be as deeply invested in a single skill as someone who is highly specialized, but generalists can go in multiple directions, they can pivot really fast, and they see the bigger picture. There's a huge value in seeing, too, how this whole web of knowledge comes together. Because I'm a German teacher, I'm going to point out to one famous German to give you a good example. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe was an example of what was called a polymath, big word, or universal genius. He's mostly known as Germany's most famous writer. He's sort of the German Shakespeare, but that's not really a perfect fit. He was, though, at once a playwright, a poet, a philosopher, a novelist, a statesman, and a chemist. That's a lot of things. And I think it would be really great to go back in time and meet Shakespeare. There's no question there. It'd be just as interesting to go back and meet somebody like Goethe. The knowledge that Goethe gained opened up connections that it would not have been possible without his curiosity across all disciplines. His understanding of chemistry influenced his poetry, which influenced his playwriting, which influenced his philosophy. And so see, what I'm talking about is if you're specializing just one thing all the time, you might be tempted to ignore something else as being irrelevant to what you want to do. But you'd be missing out on something great that may exist in the spaces between disciplines. So take every opportunity, leave every door open, because in the long run, the world will do a really good job of shutting a lot of those doors down for you. So right now, say yes to new things. And quick reminder before I move on to my next point. Remember, this year's themes are agency and authorship. What you're going to discover is those two words have a lot to do with where you are right now. So keep them in your head for a couple minutes. While you're out gathering your experiences, you may not always be immediately successful. And that should not come as a shock. Still, that's not the moment to give up and say, I'm not good at this thing, I'm good at that thing. For example, maybe you get a bad grade in one of your language classes and you decide that, quote, I'm just not good at languages. That's something I've heard a million times before, and it's always baloney. And sometimes this could happen like when a coach or a friend or a teacher or a parent or anyone, and whether they do it on purpose or not on purpose, whether it's implicit or explicit, they tell you that you're not good enough at something. Most of the time, though, we do it to ourselves. We're the ones who impose limits on ourselves. And when we do that, we give up our own agency. Well, guess what? You don't have to do that. You do have agency. You're the one who ultimately makes these decisions. You're the one who can make the choice to take another swing at something. Take as many swings at it as you like. And gentlemen, your story has not yet been written. You're not yet sure where your limits are, or even if there are limits. There are so many possibilities open to you as a young person, and you're even more fortunate because you're at MBA, where sometimes opportunities fall like rain. It would be tragic to see you simply walk by all of those open doors and never take a peek inside. It would be sad to see you just get by and never engage or take on a challenge. It would, however, be heroic to see you embrace new thoughts, ideas, to work hard, learn, grow, and try new things. Maybe you hit it out of the park on the first try, maybe not. Do you really know what would happen if you were really determined to try it again? You might just find some things you love. In the end, you not only get to be the author of your story, you also get to write yourself as the hero. And while we're at it, and this is my final thought, you can do hard things. You can do hard things. Yes, hard things are hard to do. Yes, they take time. Yes, they take effort. They can be exasperating. You may even feel overwhelmed at times. You undoubtedly will have to sacrifice something you would rather be doing. But in the end, you'll find it's worth it, and that sense of accomplishment is unlike anything. You'll not only get better at what you just accomplished, you will also learn more about yourself and what you're capable of. And here's the spoiler alert. You're capable of an awful lot, a lot more than you probably think. Most of the limits, like I said earlier, are self-imposed. So don't forget that you're free to look past them. Gentlemen, you're at an amazing point in your lives. I'm excited about you and your futures, and I know the entire community feels the same way. I know it's sometimes hard to see that with the 1,000,001 other things that are going around you, but don't think for a second you're not capable of doing great things. So sometime today, just take a break, take a minute, sit still, take a breath, and reflect on what it's like to be at a place and time where you can do just about anything. You're going to do great. You really are. Go get them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Thank you, Alex. Guys, I echo their words. I get the great honor of delivering the highlight, which is the logistical instructions for handing out these patches. Before I do that, one thought occurred to me. Is this MBA's largest ever class? There you go. Largest ever class. That means that my challenge and encouragement to you is to make the largest ever impact on the school. I think you have a really awesome opportunity to get to do that. Okay, logistical instructions. So, you see our table of patches. We will have you guys dismissed row by row. Coach McMahon will gesture to your row when it's your time to stand up and line up to receive a patch. You'll be greeted by one of these seniors here up on the front row who will meet you right here to hand you your patch, shake your hand. We'll go alphabetically, so we'll start here with you guys. Once you have received your patch, make sure you come around behind the orchestra to return to your seat. We will have plenty of opportunities for photographs and stuff with your family after the event. So just to make sure things move smoothly, make sure you're following the path. Guys who are not dismissed right away, while you are waiting for your row to go, we encourage you to read the letter that was placed on your seat. The front row, since you guys are going first, you guys can read your letter once you've taken your seat after you've received your patch, okay? So I'll have the seniors go ahead and line up behind the table. When the orchestra begins playing, thank you guys, thank Ms. Wilson for joining us this morning. We'll go ahead and begin the proceedings.
So join me in recognizing all the freshmen. Thanks again, Alex and Rob, for your comments. Mr. Markham for helping direct everybody, and others in the room who worked on this ceremony. It's fun to watch the class walk by and just think about them and the hopes and dreams that you know they have, and the ways in which you hope those hopes and dreams will be fulfilled. Reed, I was looking at you when you were walking by because he's been talking to me about college. And I called a friend of mine who is very involved in the college he's interested in, and it was fun to tell him that this is a guy that's very interested in theater and has done a lot of plays, and also very interested in engineering. And I said to my friend, that's an unusual combination, and it speaks to, I think, the openness that Rob and Alex talked about. And I hope that you all will remember that point of view. Well, thanks again for being up early. You have about 15 minutes to enjoy being together before advisory, so have a good day.